Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning into Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest album from Ariana Grande, Positions. So this is the sixth full-length studio album from the pop singer who has been riding on extreme highs from all the momentum of her last two releases, Sweetener and of course, Thank You Next. Both records I enjoy quite a bit. They have some viral singles on them and also some really enjoyable production. And this latest album over here was actually dropped with very little promotion. Prior to the album's release, Ariana was talking about how it would go down a more R&B direction. We then got the lead single Positions that came out about a week or so ago, and then just a couple tweets from her, and boom, now we have a new record. So I was looking forward to hear how she would follow up Thank You Next, as it's probably her most popular record to date, but man, this follow-up here was just disappointing, in my opinion. There's just actually tons of filler on this record, which is kind of surprising, like the opening cut, or West Side, or Safety Net that features Ty Dolla $ign. And, 3435, I would say as well, which is a track that seems like most people are talking about, mainly for its, extremely sexual lyrics. But she has gone down that road before, even on Sweetener, honestly, and it's not really too much new territory for Ariana, I think. I've honestly always thought her lyrics were pretty toxic in general, but this track overall is just okay. And there are also some of her weakest tracks to date, in my opinion, like My Hair. It is just an extremely flat and boring instrumental that just does not do anything for me, unfortunately. The groove is really stiff and odd, and that trumpet solo that comes in, whoever's playing it doesn't even sound like they want to be playing it. It's lifeless. And the track that follows that, Love Language, was sort of another dud for me. Not really quite sure what they were thinking about with that really swirly string sample that's woven in there. It just becomes grating on the ears as the track goes on. But it's also the first time that I feel like Ariana kind of drops the ball a little bit vocally. She just sounds like she's not really singing with any sort of passion or conviction whatsoever. And the instrumental has more pep in its step than she does. Now, I know it just sounds like I'm riding on a complaint train here, which yes, of course that I am, but there were a handful of highlights on this release, do not get me wrong. Like the lead single that promoted the record, Positions. Does feel a little bit safe, but it is executed really well. I like the plucked strings and the heavy bass on the instrumental, and there's also a really catchy chorus as well with a pretty viral hook. Just Like Magic was another little alluring, sneaky kind of banger in there too, with this really glitzy instrumental and some pretty interesting drum patterns. And the track Nasty, I thought, was a pretty natural transition into R&B. I thought the instrumental just flows really well and sounds like something that Pierre Bourne would have produced. And she tears up the track vocally with a performance that is sensual and really matches the flow of the instrumental really well. I had similar feelings about the track 630. I really like that starry-eyed, dreamy instrumental beginning. It sounds unbelievable, even though Ariana does have kind of a weak refrain on the chorus. Off the Table was another standout on this record, I thought, with probably the spaciest instrumental on the release and a really nice guest feature from The Weeknd, who works himself into this record really nicely. And the sentiment of the track overall is pretty forlorn. Talking about not being able to find love and wondering, if it would come in this life or the next, which I guess if you think about it, that mood and subject matter just kind of matches the really tedious pacing of the instrumental. Motive with Doja Cat was another track that I thought was pretty fun, even though I will say I wasn't a huge fan of Doja's feature on here. Her voice is just a little too abrasive and cuts through this instrumental just not in the best way. And she does tie up this record nicely on a high point with the closing track POV, another pretty emotional ballad on here about love, but this time how you perceive yourself and learning to love yourself, or struggling to perceive yourself the way that others perceive you. So overall, I don't know, this was kind of a disappointment compared to her last two releases. She still has one of the best sounding voices in music, in my opinion, and the instrumentals on here are a lot more subdued, a lot more strings. There are a handful of highlights, yes, but a majority of this album just kind of gets put into more of the forgettable category, as a lot of these tracks that come off to me like filler just feel like recycled recycled versions of themselves. And I don't know, it just kind of like lacks that overall passion and conviction that made some of her previous releases so appealing, I think. And with that being said, I'm feeling a 6.5 over here on Positions. Now, I looked on her website to see if it had come out on vinyl yet. There's no official vinyl press just yet, only CDs so far, but I did hear a rumor online that Urban Outfitters would be handling a vinyl release for this, so I guess keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you have listened to Positions already, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share, and if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.